Hi Dixons, I'm Luke Sparks, Executive Director here at Dixons, and today I'm outside the fantastic Dixons Macmillan, one of three outstanding Dixons schools on Trinity Road. So today's episode follows on from our thinking on mission and values, and we'll start to look at how our academies use the mission mapping framework to craft culture. As I mentioned in the first video in this playlist, mission mapping is an approach inspired by Jay Altman, founder of Breakthrough New Orleans and former CEO of First Line Schools, and Ben Markovich, CEO of Collegiate Academies, New Orleans. So one of the great injustices of the British education system is that students from low income backgrounds are less likely to make good progress at school compared to students from more privileged families. Now, an industry of oftentimes evidence-informed intervention, training and consultancy has coalesced around challenging this. However, without a strong culture, irrespective of how successful strategy appears in design or evidence, it will be squandered. Put simply, if you are a leader or leadership team who no one listens to, then you can design any system or purchase the best interventions and they will not happen. Put simply, if you are a leader or leadership team who does not provide classrooms where pupils can learn, then the very best teachers will not be heard. Budgets will be washed away, it will look like interventions are not working, the evidence base becomes muddy, teachers will be left to think they are ineffective, and it may all have a single root, because leaders are responsible for creating a culture that means teachers can teach and students can learn. And then we have to sustain it every day. And sometimes this can be the problem. Sustaining culture is about being willing to do the mundane tasks, finding the energy to maintain expectations every day, and caring unconditionally. It is Sisyphean and often deeply unglamorous. And it is about so much more than behaviour. All schools have cultures. The question is whether it is the one you want. It's bigger than compliance. It is the intentional behaviours and mindsets that shape the thinking, the communication, the values and mission, which is why there is so little good educational research on it. It's big and awkward and probably the most important thing that is easy for leaders to talk about without acting. Now, there's a difference between being research informed and being held in stasis by a research gap. Sometimes common sense is a fair place to start. Nothing here is new. This is about taking what will already exist between four walls and making it all our choice, because a maximally effective culture is the origin of and amplifier for all else. And at Dixons, we do that through the mission map. At Dixons, when it comes to crafting culture, a culture of simplicity and rigour, it starts with the mission of the school. We have many minds at Dixons, but one mission. The mission is the sky that generates the daily climate. It's our core belief, our purpose, why we work so hard, what we get out of bed for. As an example, here is Dixons Trinity's mission. It speaks of our bigger mission as a trust, but also acts as a better rallying call for its students than our overarching trust mission would do. For more on mission, see the mission map, Many Minds, One Mission episode in this playlist. Now, it is impossible to deliver our mission as an individual. We all have moments of vulnerability because we are real people. We get sick, we are tired, we have families of our own. This is why communication matters. The clarity with which expectations are shared will decide the proportion that is daily dependent on you as a leader. And clarity and alignment cannot be achieved in one fell swoop with a series of buzzwords and aspirational phrases crammed together. It requires a much more rigorous and unpretentious approach. An approach that is rooted in a core set of values. Now, core values are the behaviours and mindsets needed to achieve the mission. At Dixons, every decision we make, every lesson we plan, every conversation we have is absolutely rooted in our core values. Our leaders, staff and students are expected to live our values every day. An academy's values have to fit the pattern set by our trust, sticking to the rule of 3 for simplicity. And these espoused values, these behaviours and mindsets that the academy expects, need really compelling definitions. Definitions that are simple and memorable to support over-communication and to ensure they are reinforced. For example, at Dixons Trinity, hard work is defined as never giving up, remaining positive, having the strength to persevere and doing what it takes for as long as it takes. And by the way, when it comes to staff, that is doing whatever it takes as a team. We don't expect our staff to prioritise work over their families, for example. When I was principal of Dixons Trinity, I would often test staff and students on our mission and values, because clarity creates an aligned team, and an aligned team sustains culture. For more on values, see the Mission Map Values Driven episode in this playlist. As well as core values, some of our academies also have a set of drivers. These drivers are inspired by Dan Pink's paradigm-shattering book, Drive. Pink argues that human motivation is largely intrinsic, and that there are 3 essential elements. Number 1, autonomy, the desire to direct our own lives. The second is mastery, the urge to get better and better at something that matters. And the third is purpose, the yearning to do what we do in the service of something larger than ourselves. At Dixons, our culture is embedded in a commitment to self-determination. And for some of our academies, our relentless dedication to the drivers of mastery, autonomy and purpose has helped them to promote self-determination and develop true motivation and engagement that lasts. For more on drivers, see the episode in this playlist. The next layer of the mission map is made up of the artefacts. The artefacts are the visible signs of an organisation's culture. These are the things we see around the workplace. They are so obvious that even an outsider can see them. It might be the room setups, the way people dress, the keepsakes and awards on display, the language used, the inside jokes told. They are easy to see, but they can be difficult to understand, and they may not truly define the culture, but they can fool us into thinking we know it, based on what we see. At Dixons, we consider the artefacts to be the tangible manifestations of our mission, values and drivers. So it's really important that we make these artefacts our choice and that we own them, because a maximally effective culture is the origin of and amplifier for all else. Every organisation has artefacts, but they may not always be what you want them to be. Here are just a few artefacts linked to our core value of hard work that you could expect to find in a Dixons Academy. We will drill down further on most of these artefacts in future videos. The first is more time. At Dixons, our students would not make the progress they do without more time in school. And Dixon students know that there are no shortcuts when it comes to success in academics and life. Our extended academy day gives students more classroom time to acquire and apply their knowledge and understanding, deepening their learning, and it also provides opportunities for students to take part in a wide range of co-curricular electives which enrich and broaden their education. A significant number of students are also expected to attend morning intervention from 7:30 a.m, which some of our academies call morning mastery. And then weekly periods of prep, usually during the school day, allow staff to provide highly tailored small group interventions in all subjects, whilst providing students the opportunity to practice independent revision. Our students know that hard work means doing what it takes for as long as it takes. Cold call is a technique that instantly brings accountability to the classroom. At its best, it promotes greater inclusion, greater attention, greater engagement, and increased thinking and participation. And through hard work and lots of practice, students can turn that thinking into mastery. It's all about rigour, and for us, as Barbara Blackburn states, true rigour is creating an environment in which each student is expected to learn at high levels. Each student is supported to learn at high levels, and each student demonstrates learning at high levels. Not 27 out of 30, but 30 out of 30. Academic rigour is one of our strategic anchors. For more on academic rigour, see our 6 critical questions video in the Who We Are playlist. We deliver teacher talent through disciplined, deliberate and intelligent practice and coaching. Teachers face a very steep learning curve after qualification, and only in schools that provide sustained opportunities for training, practice and feedback can teachers continue up their learning curve. So at Dixons, inspired by Doug Lamoff's Practice Perfect, our staff practice like champions. And of course, that takes hard work. As I said, we will drill down on these artefacts and many more in future videos. But I would like to finish by talking briefly about climbing the mountain. Inspired by our visits to a number of charter schools in the US, the mountain metaphor is a key artefact for a number of our schools. All of our students, right from early years, are climbing the mountain to and through university or a real alternative. Now, climbing mountains is hard work, and education is a mountain to climb. In this and other videos, I've talked about keeping things simple and ensuring rigour, especially when it comes to crafting culture. I think the mountain metaphor is a good example of how we do that. At Dixons Trinity, we could have just put climbing the mountain in big letters on our walls, but that would have achieved very little. We wanted the mountain metaphor to permeate the academy, to take a simple idea and embed it with rigour. As such, we decided to use Year 6 Transition Day to take our new students to the University of Leeds, so that their first ever experience with us was at the top of the mountain. Then they knew where they are heading. Once students start in Year 7, about 10 weeks in, we take them to the Lake District for a few days and they climb an actual mountain. Then in Year 8, every student visits Oxford University. And in Year 9, every student visits another university and also completes their D of E bronze, sometimes sleeping on a mountain. Now, we don't call these visits trips. We decided to stop using the word trip altogether and use expedition instead. Again, using language to reinforce the metaphor. Every student is supported in school by a belay partner rather than a peer mentor, for example. At the end of the year, each student presents a review of their year to their belay partner and dream team. This is an opportunity for students to reflect on the progress they have made up the mountain, as well as further develop their oracy. Look out for a future video on dream team and belay partners in this playlist. We named our houses after mountains. Our published list of students who make the most progress each cycle became our list of top mountain climbers. It got to the stage where our Senko asked if we could call our inclusion and heads of year team Mountain Rescue. We get some very interesting applications for our Mountain Rescue mentor jobs. So as you can see, one simple artefact has totally permeated the academy. It took on a life of its own. I was just going to put it on the walls. Simplicity and rigour. So that's the first few stages of the mission mapping framework. And we believe the mission map is a really powerful framework to understand culture, to change culture if required, and to align culture. By analysing each element of the mission map, you can decide if the current approach is helping you to achieve your mission or not. The framework helps you to analyse the current culture, then imagine the culture you want, map the difference between the two, and then form a plan to move from the actual to the desired culture. And remember, every organisation has artefacts, but those artefacts may not always be what you want or need them to be. This is about taking the elements of the mission map and making it all our choice, because a maximally effective culture is the origin of and amplifier for all else. So I hope colleagues are enjoying exploring this playlist, and I hope that you will join us for our next video when Jenny will take you through the final stages of the mission map, focusing on creating a detailed narrative through microscripting and our approach to socialisation and reorientation. Thanks.